Hello, folks. Good. It looks like we're ready to go here. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, first of all, Diane, for having me, inviting me to be part of this very meaningful and deep and beautiful celebration of people and lives and the world and depth and psychology. And yeah, I just really appreciate it. I was thinking about it before we started, and I feel so grateful to have a home in this world, and maybe many people that are in the depth psychology field feel that way because it's like you're not quite part of the norm when you're so into deep things. So I have really felt grateful to have this home, and yeah, and I feel like an adopted child often because my PhD is from the University of Chicago in adult learning, and so I'm an adopted child into depth psychology, but very grateful to be here. I do teach classes at Pacifica. The class that I'm teaching this coming year is the healing power of creativity, and that's why I'm wearing my creative hat for the new year, and. I've also taught the purpose and power of image at Pacifica, and I have taught at other graduate schools of depth psychology. I've taught psychology at Metaphor, the psychology of Metaphor, and I've taught at Esalen Institute and a few other places. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. The first thing I want to do is I want to test my drum. So I don't know if Cordis is there. There's all these settings on Zoom, and sometimes the drum gets muted in the background. So I don't know if he's there or not, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. And tell me, oh, good, there you are. Tell me, or anybody maybe could tell me whether this can be heard, the drumming can be heard. Yes, okay, great. So if at any time, I didn't have something set right, I'm going to try to talk over the drumming. So at any time, if a setting doesn't seem to be working correctly, just let me know, because it's not actually absolutely essential for me to be drumming during this shamanic journey. Believe it or not, we actually can go into the field without it. In fact, I spent years doing this work without drumming. So it's not necessary, but it tends to get people out of their heads quicker, and it gets us into the field faster. So we will proceed and see how it goes. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do before we do our two journeys, and I'm hoping to do two of them in this 45-minute time slot, is set up what we're going to be doing, because it's shamanic work, but it's not quite, it's not a shamanic journey in that we're not going to be going on travels somewhere. We're going to be meeting something from the field that is your place of shift for the next year. And so we'll be doing that. And I want to set it up so that you get a good experience here. So hello, everyone. And in fact, I also invited a bunch of people to attend this that are familiar with my work. So if you are here and you want to share your imagery, I think that you can do it by going to the Facebook page and putting it into the chat. And so if you're on the website, I didn't see a way to put images into the chat on the website, on the Toast website, but there is a way on the Facebook page. So feel free to do that as we proceed. So, all right, so fun. Okay, so the work that I do, it's about image, it's about the shamanic field, and it's about metaphor. And our typical view of metaphor is very literary and actually somewhat heady. We're into the intellect when most people go into their thinking mind when they think metaphor. But when you think about metaphor, like I feel deeply rooted like a tree, or I'm a river, I'm flowing today, or I'm on fire. Those are all metaphors. And the thing about a metaphor is that you can both see and feel it. So it's both an image and a feeling sense. And that is our key, our ticket, our way in to this intelligent field of energy, is through that feeling sense of fire or strength or flow. And so it's not often, the work that I do is not often very satisfying to the thinking mind that wants a lot of complex images or brilliant images or meaningful images. People ordinarily might, in fact, I had somebody yesterday that got a jar of mayonnaise and she was so, disappointed. It's not about the image. Now I will talk about that later. We're going into metaphor here. It's a metaphor. There's going to be an image today that comes in for you that can only be in that form in order for you to get that feeling sense. If I were a jar of mayonnaise, for example, I have good, strong boundaries. I know how to hold something yummy. I am sturdy. So those are the simple kinds of feeling sense that allow you to connect with that wisdom source of something greater than yourself. And we all have experienced that, I'm sure. People in the depth psychology field, as you are, you probably have somewhat, experienced life through that intuitive way of knowing. Like you walk into a building and it feels closed in, just or something feels off, or you walk away from a conversation with somebody and you just feel lit up and inspired, or you choose a partner in life because, they really just give you a sense of space and freedom in your life, and you've been searching for that. So we're working metaphor intuitively all the time, but it's not a way of knowing that is developed in our culture. And so we don't have a way to access this place of higher wisdom because we're in our heads thinking all the time. So my work is really about shifting us into that way of knowing that allows us to connect with the field. So, oh, good. I got a few. My computer, I'm just giving my little secret. So I have a computer next to me where I can see people's comments. And because I'm so used to doing interactive things, and I kept bugging Diane all the time. How can people interact on this? So yeah, thanks, Maureen. It's good to see you. And Mona. Oh, it's good to hear from you, Mona. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I got my little red heart over there from Mona, so I'm happy. So yeah, feel free to go to Facebook, and if you have something you want to work, and we can do that during this 45 minutes. So I as I mentioned, I do have a PhD in adult learning. My interest in life has always been how do we learn in life, and how do we really learn? How do we grow? How do we connect with that deeper wisdom that allows us to grow and flourish? We all want to flourish. I know we all want to flourish. And so I finished my PhD in adult learning at the University of Chicago, and my advisor was Mike Csikszentmihalyi, the fellow who wrote all those books on flow. He was my advisor. I was grateful I was able to co-author some articles with him that you can find online. But after I finished my PhD, that's when the real journey began, actually. And I started having shamanic initiation experiences. And well, the first shamanic initiation experience was actually, and there were three, and all three of them brought me to a place of basically dealing with life or death, and I needed to access the field in order to be okay, basically. And so the first one was, I was in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, driving down a highway with my boyfriend, and a car crossed the center line and hit us head on. We were going 65, and I broke T12, and I displaced my spinal cord by 40 degrees. So it looked very bad, and I was paralyzed. I was flown to the Mayo Clinic, and where the doctors there gave me less than 5% chance of walking again. So it was a very terrible accident. But nurse, but maybe an angel, I'm not sure who this person was now, came over to me that night and whispered in my ear and said, "Imagine that you're floating on a cloud." So I closed my eyes, and those of you that know me have heard this story before, but I closed my eyes and I imagined myself floating on a cloud, and it brought me lightness. It brought me, just shifted my whole energy being to be lightness. So that was my first, and I believe it's the reason why I survived that accident. And even like a year later, believe it or not, I was literally playing soccer. So that was the first one. I had another one in a very horrendous teaching experience. And then the third shamanic initiation was when Spirit brought me to be teaching this class on psychology of metaphor. And after the class ended, I had another one, and there was no doubt that I was being called to open this realm to other people. My mission on this earth is for these energies of this realm to be known. They are very real. We are not making this up. We are not playing around with images from our thinking mind or our unconscious. We are entering a field of energy that wants to work with us, that wants to help us, that wants us to be our fullest self on this planet. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. So yeah, I used to not even bother really talking about my own background that much, but I needed to do it to distinguish that this is real and alive. You're going to be tapping into something today that is alive. And I want you to know that it's alive. So I had to start being really clear about what this is. And I will go more into that before we do our first journey. So I'm going to keep paying attention to time. I'm going to give you a few pointers before we do our first journey here. So, as I said before, when we can intuitively feel like it's time for me to let go, it's time for me to be strong. Or I remember years ago when I was helping my mother through this very terrible medical situation, I needed to be a warrior in that hospital and with the doctors. And I called on this place to own it and to be in that place I needed to be. And I'm sure we've all noticed, like, when we're in the right energy, things just happen. Something that might take us 3 or 4 days to write, we can write in an hour or half hour if we just are in the right flow, right? We want to be in that flow place. We want to be aligned. We are setting boundaries with people. It can be so hard if we're not in the right place for it. But when we're in the right place, we can just do it. So we want to be in alignment with that sacred realm, with the spirit, with what is in our highest good. And as humans on this planet that get kind of caught up into the day-to-day and all the drama that's happening and news and whatever else, food, alcohol, whatever it might be, or relationships, we can just lose ourselves. We can lose our sense of self. We can lose that connection with what is really our place of fullness and aliveness. And so we all do it. We're humans. We all get pulled out. But today we're going to go back and you're going to own it. You're going to find out what it is for you and you're going to own that place. And that's going to be your place of alignment for the coming year. These energies that we're working with are creative, but they don't change that fast. And whatever shows up for you is going to be what you most need today. And I have no idea what it's going to be. So the one thing that distinguishes this, again, this is creative energy we're working with here. So if you're naturally like really grounded and mountainous and you're like a sturdy mountain, you're not going to get a mountain. You might get a cloud because this isn't like, for the most part, sometimes what shows up is people's deep soul image. And again, I never know what's going to show up for people. For the most part, it's something you're probably working. Like right now, I need better form in my life, better boundaries, or, right now I really need to learn how to let go and let spirit do for us what we can't do for ourselves. Okay, so I'm just going to review a few other things. First, I know since you're all depth psychologists, you're all very familiar with working with imagery. And so I would just ask you to be a beginner. The way I work with images is very different. And be a beginner. And if you're spending a lot of time like thinking and comparing, you're not going to be going into the field. And I want you to go into the field. This also doesn't please the thinking mind because we're working with something very simple. We're not working with complexity. The mind wants complexity. The spirit is simple. So somebody might get a waterfall and be so disappointed, like, it's just a waterfall. I'm so disappointed. I wanted something, cooler than that. We're going into energy. In order to go into energy, it has to be simple, because if it's complex, we're in our heads trying to figure it out. We're going into a field it has to be simple. So we're working with very simple images here. Very, very simple. The other thing is surprise. You're not going to know what's going to come up for you today, and neither will I. And then this energy is going to work you. This is a field. So it's something that you're going to want to remember and go back into that feeling sense of during this coming year. It's your place of rest. It's your place of home. The other example I've been giving recently is that, so we're working with images. The shamanic is working with shape and form and energy. So we're not working with analyzing something. So whatever image you get is not what it means to you in everyday life. The woman who got, bless her heart, that got the jar of mayonnaise, she was so embarrassed. She didn't want to tell me that she got it. But this does not mean anything. Doesn't mean she's a jar of mayonnaise or that she eats too much or whatever. It's just bringing those metaphoric qualities that she needed, and it came in that way. In the art field, there was years of people doing very realistic paintings, very detailed, realistic paintings. And then we moved into this whole realm in art of abstraction and abstract art. We're going into, with these images, we're working in an abstract way. I'm going to ask you to just pay attention to the quality, like the basic shape, the basic energy, the basic size, the basic weight. Does this image have no form? With the creative, we're either working with form or no form for the most part. Sometimes we're working with other things like depth or texture or whatever, but for the most part, most people are working some form of form or no form. And either one is fine. There's no value here. We work form or no form at various times in our lives. So yeah, that's a little about that. Okay, so the first thing is that this image, we're not creating anything here. Your mind is not creating what you want to create for the new year. I mean, you can do that, but to get the value of this, please allow an image to come to you, and please don't dismiss it, because again, I had somebody get a tumbleweed one time, and she was upset by the tumbleweed. There's no meaning here. We're working metaphorically, so it doesn't mean you are a weed. It doesn't mean that. Don't dismiss. So our mind wants to dismiss. Please don't do that. And what else do I want to say? And so the other thing that the mind will do is it will embellish. It won't be really happy. Often people get very small balls, which, like a tennis ball or a cricket ball or something like that. And that's wholeness energy coming back to self. And it often can be very small. So one of the things you might want to look at with your image is size. Is it big? Is it small? Again, this is creative energy. There's no good or bad. It's very refreshing and very important for us in this life to sometimes be small. For example, I can work with therapists who have way too many clients. And so they need to get small. They need to be small for a while and realize that they can't help, that many people. They're overextending themselves and getting exhausted and losing connection with themselves. So if you get something really small, and especially something that's beautifully well formed, like a round tennis ball or something, that's small, and it's like wholeness and coming back to self. You're in a time of needing to sort of let go of your excess commitments and responsibilities and dangling threads. You need to get back to you so that you can develop that better sense of self and better connection with your own depth. Okay, so I'm gonna, so as I said, we're just looking, when we do this journey, I just want you to notice those primary feeling sense of size, weight. Something could be very light, like a feather or smoke, or heavy, expansive or well-formed. Yeah, sometimes texture shows up, but not as frequently. So just notice where you're at with your image. You're not wanting details. You're just wanting to notice one primary quality. And I think I said this before, but also we're not looking at what an image means to you personally. So we might do that with dream analysis or something. We might get an image of a a sunflower and say, oh, my grandmother loves sunflowers, or we get an image of a truck, that means I need to go, for a drive or on a trip. We're working with metaphoric energy. It doesn't mean what it means to you personally in your everyday life. So we don't know what it means until you feel into it, that feeling sense of size, shape, form, etc., texture. And another thing, lately, people have been getting snakes more frequently, which is very cool. But people can kind of freak out with images like that, and because the snake has various meanings, evil or goddess or whatever. We're not looking at anything like that. We're not looking at the meaning that a snake has in our culture or whatever. We are looking at the shape and form and energy of the snake. Is it curled? Is it resting? Is it moving? Is it on fire? What's its energy? What's its shape? How is it holding itself? If you get a surfboard, I had somebody get a surfboard the other day. If you don't like to surf and you get a surfboard, I don't care. We're not working with your thinking mind. We're not thinking with what your personality likes and doesn't like. The surfboard is going to come. It came because you have a particular kind of metaphoric energy that wants to come in, and that's what needed to come in for you to get that. For a surfboard, for example, if we're on a surfboard, we have to be completely, this is working with this beautiful client of mine who got the surfboard. We're on the surfboard, we have to be totally focused and present in the present, right? Otherwise we lose ourselves on the board. We're maneuvering, we are in alignment with something larger than ourselves as a surfer with the ocean. So do you see how something like getting a surfboard brings you into that sense of metaphoric alignment, sacred alignment with spirit? You're seeing how what's wanting to align here. So don't dismiss your images. And so the other thing, since this work is shamanic, we are not a witness here. You are participating. This is about who we are being in the world. Are we being strong right now? Are we in flow right now? Are we holding a sense of bigness in the world right now, or being straight and tall? I like to work on my posture, so I always think of myself as a tree. But do you see how to be in alignment, spirit is simple. The thinking mind is complex, but spirit is simple. And in order to get this shift, we have to stay in simple. You can't be working expansiveness and strength and whatever all at once. You're working one quality, or maybe two. Like, for example, clarity and definition always go together. Like, it's a time for me to be really clear and defined. Or wholeness and size often go together. Like, I'm in a place of wholeness, of really connecting to myself and owning myself and my background and my work. But I don't need to be big in the world. So you might get a couple of qualities, but you're not getting a whole litany of qualities. You're just getting something very simple, which is what allows us to be in alignment with spirit. Okay. So yeah. So just as a more reinforcement of the notion of how simple this is, the image that I have worked for years now is a simple horizontal line. And it's everything. It reminds me to rest. It reminds me where to rest. And it reminds me, like, oh, it's expansive, like spirit is doing this. I don't need to do it. I can rest. I can let spirit do this. So that's what I mean by the simplicity of what we're working here. Very simple. We want that shift to happen inside of you. We're not going into a headspace of trying to analyze or figure it out or anything like that. All right, good. We should have enough time to do both journeys. Okay, so let's drum. I'm going to try to talk over the drumming. So if that doesn't work, please let me know. But basically what you are going to be doing is just resting into a field and allowing something very simple to show up. Very simple image. And then I want you to become that image. And I'll guide you a bit more as we do it. So settle back, and here we go. So just pay attention to the fact that there is a field of energy. You are more than a body. You are an entire field. Find the center of that field, and that center doesn't need to be in your physical body. Just wherever that intuitive place is for you. Like, this is the center. This is the center. And then rest down into that place. We're going to invite some very, very simple image that probably will make no sense to your thinking mind to show up. Very simple. And I want you to become it. You don't need to even really understand why it showed up. You're just becoming its shape and form and energy. And if what you notice is texture, go into the texture. Become the texture. Become the size it wants to be. This image has a particular size it wants to be. Let it be the size that it wants. Let it be as big as it wants to be. It might want to be small. It might want to be big. Notice what it wants. So this image came for a reason. You didn't create it, it showed up. What is that reason? What is its energy telling you right now? You might have a difficult situation in your life that you've been wondering what to do. This energy has an answer for you. Let it be as intense as it wants to be. Even if it's small or gentle, gentleness often shows up actually. So if you got a very delicate, gentle energy, let it be as delicate as it wants to be, or as gentle as it wants to be. Oh, thank you. Beautiful. I just want to thank the tech support in the background for helping this go well. I'm not an expert on Zoom, so thanks you guys for all you do with this. Great. Well, that was fun. Now, if you would like to spend a few minutes writing down what happened, go ahead. The exercise that I often bring into my classes is we want to work this image, this energy a little bit more. So the way I do is with writing. So I'll say, I am the fork, I am the spoon, I am the paper plate, whatever it is that you got, no matter how silly. Again, don't let your mind dismiss this and judge it, because I guarantee you, there is wisdom there for you. And especially with the things that we most dismiss, yes, there's wisdom there for you. So I am, and just do a few minutes of writing. I am whatever it is, and see what shows up. If you're not a writer and you would prefer to draw or dance this energy for a few minutes, go ahead. And we will have enough time for the second journey, which I'm going to do today. So I'm going to give you guys a bit more time for this right now. And yeah, go forth. So one of the things I'm going to let you keep writing, but I'm just going to throw this out for whoever might be on Facebook and wants me to work with their image. It might be a good demonstration for how we work with this energy. So I just want to put that out. You're welcome to put your image up on Facebook. I have it next to me. I'll read it. So. Like, I just was told I can use the screen share, so let me try it. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now for anybody that just joined in. Just a little bit of more info for people that might just be joining right now. Technology is so amazing. What it allows us to do. Okay, so I also have been getting a bunch of people putting their images in the comments on Facebook. So let's just go ahead and work with a couple before we end with the last journey. Let's see, what would be a good one to go with? So I think what I'd like to do is go with the one that's probably the most odd, if that makes sense, just because our thinking mind is like, well, why did I get that? Although, actually, I want to go with Diane. Thank you, Diane, for sharing. Big white clouds circling the planet. Ooh, you can feel that, can't you? I mean, just saying that. Big white cloud circling the planet. So the planet is huge, right? Planets are very big, but we are not the planet. We are the big white cloud. So we are, as a cloud, we are light. And since we are circling the planet, we are a circle shape. So there's a form here, even though it's a very light form. This is very big, Diane. Do you feel that bigness? Do you feel how big this is? Maybe the rest of you do too. But you have to remember the lightness. You're not the planet, you're the lightness around the planet. Big white cloud. Remember your wholeness here, because this cloud is in this circle shape. I don't know what it means for you circling the planet. You might want to work with that a bit more. Like, what's the planet for you? You might want to go into the planet, being the planet, just to see. But remember that lightness and that wholeness. Let yourself this coming year, be as big as you feel necessary, because this is not a small image. This is big. I want you to be big this year. Okay, so that's a little bit of a foray. So I want to move in because I don't want to go over. We're going to do the second. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share, take this off, and hopefully we're all set. Okay, let's do the second journey. So in the second journey, what we're going to do is you are going to meet some sort of spiritual resource. It might be a spiritual energy. It might be, so that if it's a spiritual energy, it's probably going to come in the form of an image. I actually was asking for one the other day and it was an apple. So if it's an energy, it's going to come, a spiritual energy for you, something that wants to help you this coming year. It might come in the form of an image. You also might get a power animal, a spirit teacher, or some sort of sacred object. Okay, and we're going through this really fast. So if at any point people want more help, I don't know how many people are on the call today, but if you're very confused about what showed up for you, you can send me an email and reach me through my website at kimhermanson.com. But otherwise, let's do the second journey. We are not going to become this image. You are whatever you are. If you're Diane, you are the cloud encircling the earth. And the sacred teacher, spirit teacher, power animal, or sacred object is in front of you. You're not going to become it. You're just going to be with it and notice its energy. Okay? So settle into whatever image showed up for you before. You are that image. Whether it's a cloud or stream, you are that image. And in front of you, some spiritual resource is going to come in to help you make this shift this coming year. What does the spiritual resource want to tell you? Why did it show up? Why does it want to help you? So those are our two journeys. One of the things that shows up in this work is the distinction between who we are being in this world and who we need to be in this world and where spirit is. For example, I'm the horizon line. I can rest into the horizon line, but I'm too expansive. I can't understand my expansiveness, right? Diane's image of the big cloud encircling the earth, it's really bigger than her mind can grasp. So one of the things that happens with this work is you're seeing who you need to be in relationship with spirit in order for you to be in your fullness right now. And so the spiritual resource that just showed up, I don't want you to get confused. It only came in to help you. That first image is the one where you need to be holding. It's your place of right alignment for this coming year. Yeah, and just keep working it. It's a process. We're opening up a channel. This is another way of knowing. It is not cognitive, very pre-verbal. Yeah, but bravo to everyone. And thanks for being here, and thanks for inviting me, Diane, once again. And thank you, Pacifica, for being this amazing community and home in the world for all of us misfits that don't fit in anywhere else. I just really appreciate it. So thanks all.